Hello, Gemstones audience. You might be wondering why Rob has his hands covering his eyes.
I'm wondering the same thing.
And that's because today I have made a game for good old Robert.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
I set up all these lovely specimens here on the table, and he has to sort particular specimens into these lovely categories. So there's a general theme, but we'll get into that when Robert opens his eyes.
When's that?
Now.
Oh, okay.
Ta-da!
Agate, jasper, silicify, and other.
Yes, you're going to be looking at all of these specimens and then kind of putting them into each of these categories.
Oh, wait. I think the other one is gonna really get me.
What do you see? What strikes your fancy?
Well, I'm gonna start, I won't lie, we've been doing this show for a while. I have been doing this show for a while, and so I recognize some of the pieces.
You know, that is fair.
So right now I'm looking for opals, and I know that this guy, and that guy on the end are all tiger opal. I'm seeing the word silicify, which to me says silica, so I'm going to put my opal, which is made of silica, in my silicify category. The jasper and the agate are going to be a little tricky because they can sometimes resemble each other, and I'm trying to remember if these guys with the landscapes, if they are like landscape jasper, landscape agate. I'm just gonna, why are you grinning like that? Opal. I'm preparing to be incorrect here because look how empty the jasper is. I'm forgetting stuff. So agate is a cryptocrystalline quartz, so it's not gonna have like large crystals the way rock crystal quartz looks or quartzite looks.
To give credit to Robert, as he's trying his best of putting things together, a lot of these specimens, like especially if I didn't know what these were beforehand, usually take a good bit of time and effort examining each piece as to what these possibly could be, as well as potentially the locality, which can sometimes help. So he's just, going on the fly of like, this kind of looks like.
I got here 5 minutes ago. That looks so cool. This guy I've never seen before.
It's one of my favorite pieces.
It looks like one of those like holographic things. When you were a kid, you had the big sheet and you could rotate it and see two different images. Yeah, or it would move. Now I took a look at this guy and I decided that this was, I saw the flecks of red in it. I don't know if you can see that. They're pretty fine, but that tells me bloodstone. This looks like more red, more of the same red that I saw in this ring, so I'm gonna put it in with the jasper as well. And if I'm right, the red would be hematite inclusions. So this, yeah, I see, I'm looking at the breakage and the glassiness of it, which sort of suggests akin to opal in its breakage, as opposed to one of these microcrystalline guys. I could just go other with that guy. I'm just gonna say other with that. We're breaking ground, we've cut the ribbon in the other section. That looks like, it kind of looks like aventurine quartz, where it's not the body color that's green, it's a million bazillion teeny tiny inclusions that are giving it the appearance of green. So I'm gonna say that this guy is aventurine quartz, which is, it falls over here. I am flip-flopping because my memory is not serving me well here. And I'm nervous about how agate heavy my my categorization is right now. What are you guys? Beyond just beads. They're red. I don't know what to tell you. They're kind of red-orange, maybe tiger's eye, but we already have that stuff. Like it's like mildly chatoyant. I don't know. I'm gonna say you're over here as well. Quartz. And then this, I'm putting you in the other. I don't know what's going on with that guy. This is agate. Finally, some familiar material. That is for sure. Somebody thought that this was going to be more hollow than it was, and they cut it in half, and they got a teeny tiny little pocket with some crystalline quartz. It's technically hollow. It's still very pretty on the inside. So we're going to put that over there here. This is reminding me a little bit of these guys. So I'm going to lump you in with the jasper because it's kind of got like a similar red and turquoise coloration. So I'm gonna lump you in there as well. Well, I have a lot more jasper than I did 90 seconds ago, huh?
You did.
And then this, I feel better about calling that tiger's eye as well. And all of my little fibery boys, I'm gonna put in the other category. And I don't think Brittany liked that move very much.
Are these your final answers?
I'm not totally, there are some of them that I'm not 100%, actually a lot of them I'm not 100% on.
You did do them pretty quickly, which I'm kind of impressed, to be honest.
I haven't locked in yet. Can I make some changes?
You sure can.
Okay. I realized while I was doing this that I put this guy under the agate category, and then I put these two, which are like exactly like it, into the jasper category. So I'm moving these guys back in. I'm gonna say all three of these are the same and that they're onyx. I'm gonna backtrack on my aventurine. So I am confident that I've identified this correctly, but I don't, it probably shouldn't be under agate because it's not like, it doesn't have the banding, it doesn't have, it's not like the others,
Yes.
which means that it should probably be other.
I'll do some talking after
Okay.
you've moved some things.
Kind of in the same vein of realizing that these three are probably the same, I think I identified this one as tiger's eye, and then I put it under agate because in my head the agate category was the quartz category, but they're kind of all quartz except for the opal, which is not quartz, it's opal. So I'm gonna kind of do the same thing that I did with the aventurine, and I'm going to move it to the other category with the rest of what I'm now going to decide in my head is also tiger's eye because the effects are too similar. So I sort of put all three of these guys in my head because this looked like moss agate to me, and this also kind of had the same patchy spotted patterning. But one key difference is that it's not translucent. The separation of these categories is not,
It's not a fine
and not the categories that you've made. I mean agate versus jasper versus, chalcedony. It's all quartz, they're all chalcedony. And some of the distinctions are just like literally aesthetic things, like.
That is correct.
And one of those distinctions between jasper and agate is opacity. And since this guy is not letting any light through. So I'm going to slide it into the jasper category. Yeah, I think my last change is when I first looked at I was just talking about going with your gut. And when I first looked at these two guys, I decided late in the game that these were opal, and I don't think I should have done that. I think I should have first glance locked them in and placed them with the agate category because they do let a little bit of light through, so they're not totally opaque, which I just said is a jasper quality. Okay, locked in. Final answer.
If I had to give you a grade, I'd, maybe like a B. If you all couldn't guess that there was a particular theme, most of it was polycrystalline varieties of quartz. The way how Robert thinks and the way how Brittany thinks is, a little different. I had some different notions as to what would qualify as like other.
These aren't wrong, are they?
Technically,
They're in the right
no.
spot, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
I would have put them in other because
That was like the first thing wait, you would have put those in other?
like I said, we think differently. So since opal isn't quartz, although all of it is a form of silica as the basic like chemical composition, opal forms in spheres.
Yeah.
So I would have put that in the other just because it isn't part of quartz.
The chalcedony thing.
Yes, but
Okay.
also the quartzite also would have been underneath other just because the silicified category was like stuff that had been silicified. So that was all of the tiger's eyes that you've put here, as well as this lovely pietersite, which I love pietersite, which is pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that guy before. That's a captivating optical phenomenon.
It's lovely. It's pretty much just tiger's eye and hawk's eye together, just kind of mashed together in different like orientations, and that's more or less kind of what makes pietersite. So I would have put that in the silicify category just because it was once a different variety of amphibole materials, and then silica just kind of overtook it, and so then it became silicified. But I mean, you're not wrong in this sort of aspect. A couple of pieces though, I will now go over what you were wrong
Pull out
with.
the red pen.
So I'm gonna move this to Jasper. So this was
I was
an
confused
opal.
about that guy. It's an opal?
It's an opal.
I said that was the first thing I said about it, was the color reminds me of opal.
This was also opal though.
No! I thought it looked like moss.
I think I'm also putting, so this was chrysoprase, both of these.
Yeah.
These green bits
Where would you put those guys?
in the other. So agate and jasper are chalcedony, but so is chrysoprase. These are like the two main categories of chalcedony, but then there's like smaller ones that aren't really like associated with those that are like chalcedony, but like by
Doing their own
basic
thing.
definitions, they would also be this. So like this bloodstone ring, I mean, you don't really call bloodstone a form of jasper. It's just like bloodstone, but it
I see what you were
it is
thinking.
technically, I think, a jasper with hematite flecks. I did have fun making this game, but also trying to correctly put it in separate actual categories is a little bit difficult because some of it kind of does bleed into each other. Agate and jasper, pretty much the same thing, really just defined by its opacity. So jasper is going to be opaque and agate will have forms of translucency to it.
And sometimes when something is like pretty enough, it gets its own name, even though it is one of these.
Jasper and chert, they're the same thing. Jasper, if the pieces look nicer, they're called jasper, and if they look less nice, they're called chert.
So onyx, straight agate, an agate node. Carnelian, an agate. This one I was a little confused on because I thought I was seeing tiger's eye in some of the pieces.
It's actually sard instead of sardonyx. There's like some nuances there, as we were just talking about, lots of nuances. Also, the same thing with carnelian. It's not really classified as like an agate, it's just carnelian. A lot of times you aren't going to see the banding because carnelian does have banding within it, but if you put a light to it, you'll be able to see like those bands clearly.
So these are all picture jasper, right? With the classic landscape looking banding. Some more hematite like what we saw in the bloodstone.
I think this is more or less like a common opal because you don't really see like plays of color for it to be precious. Common opal can be a little tricksy, especially just identifying in general.
This is why the eye and the loop can take you a long way, but ultimately to really confirm the nature of a gemstone, sometimes you need some technical equipment.
Oh yeah.
But I think with our discussion about the I keep saying blurriness, but that's kind of a good way to put it, I think. The blurriness between the distinctions and the definitions are a little bit wibbly wobbly. I think there's room for an A-.
Did you have fun though?
Yeah, that was a challenge. I'm never gonna misidentify that guy though. Never again.
I know this was kind of a game, but did you have any favorite pieces or that you want to?
That Pieter site really wowed me. I don't think I've ever seen that guy before, and the phenomenon on it, aventurine, it's a good choice as well.
It is a good choice. It's very pretty. It has a lot of color. So I'm gonna choose this since you chose mine.
Thanks for putting this together, Brittany. This was fun.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
If you guys enjoyed watching the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And if you want to not get stumped like I did with a couple of these pieces, go to gemstones.com where you can find all sorts of information about loads of minerals and gemstones just like these. Thanks for watching.
Bye.